Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Wayland.
And I'm Cornelius Thunderbutt.
Oh, oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
So is this gonna now officially be a thing for when it's my turn to intro?
If you want. Yeah.
I mean, because you did it in season 7.
Yeah.
I mean, since then you hadn't done it since I think season 3 or something, but you did it in season 7. So
yeah, I think when it's your turn, I think that's going to be my time to free reign.
I mean, I did make a supercut of all your names from season 7, not including the bonus episodes that we did for that season. I might put it up on our YouTube channel. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be fun. I have fun with those. And my favorite one, because I watched it when you sent it to me, the supercut. One of my favorite ones was when I said I was Rain Wayland but spelled different. That made me laugh.
Okay. So I was really proud of that one because I had a good joke for how it was going to be spelled.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until the edit was done that it didn't actually put in my text. And so I was like, you son of a bitch. Because I went all out. I was like, you know what? If he's like, but spelled different, then I'm gonna make sure it's spelled different.
Yeah.
And it fucking didn't even work.
Damn it. Well, that's okay. I do have a recommendation.
Okay.
I watched a movie during our hiatus that I had never seen before that I thought was one of the best movies I had ever seen.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get the director up just so I can give it full props. Because it truly was amazing. And it's a movie that I'd heard of and that's been on my shelf for forever. This is going to be a hard one. I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce the name. That's okay. So it is the 1995 French film La Haine, starring Vincent Cassel, or Vincent Castle, however you want to say it. It is truly, truly tremendous. Everyone's got to see it.
Okay.
It really is great. I think the final straw with me finally sitting down and seeing it was Cillian Murphy was talking about how good it was, and now he's showing his son a whole bunch of movies that he loves, and La Haine was the one that they liked the most.
Yeah, I feel like I saw that same interview.
And I was like, it's been on my shelf forever. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on it. And no pun intended. And La Haine is amazing. Really, really good. So you got to see it. So people out there, go see La Haine.
Nice. I don't have any recommendations to give. I've been kind of all over the place during our hiatus, watching Clone Wars, watching Ahsoka.
Okay.
I've
been watching Reservation Dogs, and I think it's awesome.
I've been telling Ashley we need to start watching that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been more so gearing up for new games, man. Freaking new Assassin's Creed game and new Spider-Man game coming out soon.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Are you stoked about the new Mortal Kombat?
No, I heard it was shit.
That's such a bummer. I really like Mortal
Kombat. Well, I think because a lot of people couldn't forgive Megan Fox's voice acting in it.
Oh, well. That's them's the bricks, as they say.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, should we tell everyone what this is?
Yeah.
Welcome to season 9, everyone. And, just as we kind of said in our post with our new logo, just in time for October.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just in time. I mean, we're a couple of days away, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Also, not to call you out on Mike, but Ashley did not make it. I made that logo.
Oh, did you?
I told you I was working on it.
Oh, honestly, I thought you were just like doing like mock-ups and stuff just so she knows what to do, like a template,
Nah, dude.
Um,
I was going back and forth between YouTube
Shit, it's really good, man. Well, good
and
job.
dude, I was getting so frustrated. I don't know how people can do Photoshop because I was like,
It's hard. I don't know how to do it.
and I didn't know how to Google the right thing. I
Yeah.
was like, I want one subject multiple times. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And like, I found one video and it was so convoluted. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then literally I found one. It was like, oh, you press these buttons and then boop. And I
It's
was
what,
like,
that's sort of the problem that I think we're going to run into when trying to find like educational YouTube videos. It's sort of like, I don't
mhm.
need your like razzmatazz and pizzazz. Just tell me which fucking buttons to push and then I can go.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and then what sucked is I found the specific font that um uh if anyone hadn't seen our new logo, it's a ghost story. I found the specific font that Lowry used for it,
Mhm.
downloaded it for Premiere Pro, and I could only make it that big.
Oh my God.
I was like, there has to be a way to make it bigger. And fucking everywhere I looked, it was like, I mean, you can make it the width bigger. I'm like, no, I want to make the
Yeah.
text actually bigger. And
Unreal.
so I downloaded just the square version and then I went into Canva and there we go. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you know what? You
Canva's
can't
the
tell.
best. I used it all the time during my admissions and student activities jobs. Canva's the best. So I
Yeah.
used it for flyers and stuff all the time.
Well, originally that's how I was gonna make it, was through Canva, but then when
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna be the way I want it.
Dude,
uh
it's really intuitive. It's really user friendly because I'm an idiot when it comes to stuff like that. And it was pretty good.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so I guess formal apology. I'm sorry. I assume she did it because she did our Parasite and Reservoir Dogs
Yeah,
once.
well, she was like, I don't know why he's crediting me, and I was like, just take it, Who
She did.
who needs to know?
Well, whoops.
She was gonna do it, but then she
Mhm.
was like, I don't know how to use Photoshop. I was
Oh,
like, well, don't worry about it. I'm sure I could figure it out. And
Photoshop's hard.
it's fucking hard.
Yeah,
And yeah, yeah. Hopefully Alex will be able to make our next one
I hope so.
because I don't think I can do that again,
I know
or
it's
it,
hard, man.
or at least not that well.
Uh-huh.
That for sure is a one-off for me.
Yeah, well, it's excellent. Lots of praise on the sites, on the socials when I put
Yeah,
it up. So
yeah.
good job. I
Well,
should go in and re-edit those and say, I'm just
nah,
kidding.
nah.
Yeah,
Only Zach's gonna know.
that's true.
Uh, well, for anyone else besides Zach, as many of you know, we've done a theme for each season since what, season 3?
3 or
No,
4, maybe 5.
5, because that's when we started getting on YouTube.
Yeah,
Because five was the season of downers.
yeah.
Um,
Tried to break you. Everyone's like, dude, are you trying to get Rain to kill himself? I was like, no, but I mean, if it happens, it happens. I don't know what to tell you.
this season's theme is no theme. We're gonna go back to old school style,
Yeah.
back when it was just audio, and just pick random movies that we want to talk about.
Mhm.
Maybe we've seen them before, maybe we haven't.
Yeah.
I know I did at least 5 and 5 movies I'd seen, 5 movies I hadn't seen,
Okay.
and movies 5 movies that I have been really wanting to see. So
I've seen all of mine. So these are all just curated by me. I
cool.
wasn't picking ones I hadn't seen. We had the season that never ended. We've done that already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it just gave me another excuse to be like, all right, you've got all these movies on your shelf,
Mhm.
fucking watch them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I decided, since it's my turn to start the season again, let's start with a banger.
Cool.
And dude, what a banger. even though I knew you probably would have agreed to it, the fact that I got you to agree to open the season with this movie is, I was like,
There was no problem.
it can only go down from here. So everyone, today we're discussing the 2022 third Jordan Peele film, Nope. You and I saw this movie together, and unfortunately, I had already seen it before you and I went
Mhm.
saw it. So I, I just had to see the movie again. It
Yeah.
was so good. Like it should be like criminal how good this fucking movie is, bro.
It's really good. You know, it's one of those films that when I saw it with you,
Mhm.
I went out of there thinking that was pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
that was pretty good. Get Out, I liked more. Us was, I would say it was going in order for me. I liked Get Out, then I liked Us, and then Get Out was, I mean, and then Nope was pretty good. You know, and then the
Yeah.
more I started looking into it, the more you research, the more you think about it, the more you're like, oh, you know, like none of that was on accident. It's all on purpose. It's all intentional. You know, it's everything represents something, and then it's like, oh, then this movie just it blew me away. The more I thought about it, the more you get into it, and especially on this new watch, then I was like, oh, yeah, no, it's incredible. It's on par with Get Out and Us. You know, they're all now level. You know,
Yeah.
because once you understand that, you know, Jordan Peele is so intentional and so deliberate with his choices and what is being shown on screen and how it's being shown on screen. And yes, this scene may seem like it doesn't fit or that it's filler, but it isn't, and here's why, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, completely blew me away this time.
Yeah, man. And now this is gonna be controversial. I've never seen Get Out or Us,
Really?
and to be honest, I'm not interested in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man,
Uh,
dude. I didn't know
I
about
just want to
that.
get that out of the way now, because so here's the thing, man. I love that Jordan has been able to transition from comedy to horror so seamlessly. Um, if anyone out there has watched Eli Roth's History of Horror, you know that he's been on multiple episodes, because he brings such a unique perspective to horror. And I appreciate Get Out and Us, especially for the underlining messages that he's trying to convey. It just, much like your favorite person, Ari Aster, those two movies just aren't my brand of horror.
Okay.
But there was something about this one when I saw that first teaser. I was like, there's something about this movie and I have to see it. And I think it's because, and I looked it up today, it's not technically a horror movie. Like, yes, we have scares, but it's not a full blown horror from start to finish.
Well, I think, and you're right in the sense that horror elements aren't necessarily represented. However, I saw this great video essay, and I wish I could credit him, but I'll do it later. Is he's really using terror, not
Mm-hmm.
horror, right? He and this is going to get tossed around a lot in this episode. Is that it's like Jaws, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, dude. Yes, keep going.
This movie is like Space Jaws. I don't know, but it's the way he's using not only visual elements of terror and of suspense and of ambiguity, but he's also using sound as well
Mm-hmm.
in the same way. And Jaws is a beautiful template of what that looks like back in 1975, right?
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg is using these elements in such a beautiful way that, yes, people are going to call it a horror film, but really the horror is less utilized than terror, which is that dread and that suspense you feel when you know something horrible is going to happen or has already happened, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, and we'll get into it after we, get back on everything. But, you use Jaws as a perfect example. It's what we don't see is what
Mm-hmm.
terrifies us the most, man. And it's just, but I want to run this by you real quick before we really get into everything. So when I looked up what a lot of other people consider this movie, and they consider it a neo-Western sci-fi.
Interesting. Sure.
And I was like, that kind of summarizes the movie in a way. Not only do we have the character of Jupe, which we'll definitely get into, being essentially our Western character, but
Mhm.
there are sort of all these like Western motifs, and the only reason why it's sci-fi is because of what our characters are dealing with
Mhm.
in the film. But I was like, that's an interesting classification
Yeah,
of
it
this
is.
movie.
It's not wrong. Um, Jordan Peele is using the Western motif deliberately, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was researching, and it's he's using the Western because, um, again, a lot of things going on in this film. One of them is an indictment of the film industry as a whole, as you know,
Yeah.
and part of what he was trying to convey with these motifs is the whitewashing of the American Western,
Mm-hmm.
um, and where we only have a couple of examples in Hollywood film of African American cowboys, which I know you're going to look for it.
Yeah, right there.
Buck and the Preacher is one of them,
Yep.
and it's it's said in like if you look into real history, it was like 40 to 50% were African American cowboys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um and so a great new modern example would be The Harder They Fall, which has an entirely black cast.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wanted to see that. It's on my watch list, but and it's funny that we both immediately went for Buck and the Preacher, because when I first saw this movie, we saw it at Alamo Drafthouse,
Mhm.
and of course, as you know, maybe if anyone out there has never been to an Alamo Drafthouse, they typically will play previews of things that tie into the movie. So, like when we saw The Whale, they were playing all this Brendan Fraser love, which was
Yeah.
awesome. But when me, Mom, Ashley, Scott, Jordan, and Chloe all went and saw Nope, they were playing a lot of the stuff about African American representation in westerns, and they
Mhm.
they brought up Buck and the Preacher and a couple other films too,
Mhm.
um, that had accurate representation, even though some of it, like one of the films, he goes from a slave to a cowboy,
Mm.
and he doesn't speak at all. And that was movies from like the 70s, I think. And then of course they brought up Django, which
Of course.
yeah. But yeah, it was just it's just interesting that Western kind of made its way into this film.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's subtle, right? Like,
Mhm.
yes, they're horse trainers. Yes, there's this backstory of Mr. Haywood as the black jockey on the first sequential um, still photographs to make a moving picture, right?
Mhm.
Um, and but of course, the horses also matter, and
Yeah.
whatever. But we'll get to that. And then of course, Jupe. That's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um,
I think we've been skirting around it long enough. So Jeremy, would you like to tell, because now it's your turn,
right.
give everyone that quick little synopsis.
Sure. We have a horse training family. They train horses for Hollywood productions. And the patriarch dies of a mysterious head trauma. And while sitting and dealing with that grief, the oldest, OJ, or Otis Jr., is still trying to keep the business alive and trying to keep his head above water. While his sister, in her name is Emerald. Sorry, I haven't written down. Emerald is a little more apathetic about the business. She sort of wants to do her own thing. But again, still trying to help Otis in the interesting ways that she can. Now, because Otis or OJ is sort of weary about the way his father died, he starts noticing weird things around the ranch, and weird sightings. And so once he discovers that it's a UFO, he and his sister try to get what they call the Oprah shot. Try to get a perfect, clear picture of a UFO so they can sell it and make some money and maybe buy those horses back that he's been selling to Jupe.
Spoiler, he ain't getting them back.
He's not getting those horses back. And Jupe is a former child actor who has turned his past characters into a Western attraction that he and his family own and operate. He discovers the UFO and uses it in his own different way, and ends up not working so well for Jupe, right?
Yeah.
All the while, there is this side story told in flashback of Jupe's childhood trauma of him on a sitcom starring a chimpanzee. What do a chimpanzee, a horse, and a UFO have in common? We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And of course, while getting the Oprah shot, they end up defeating the UFO. And that's pretty much nope. Yada yada through a lot of that, but that's pretty much it.
That's fine. So where should we begin with this, man? Because I feel like we should definitely point out the underlining meaning of this film.
Sure, we can definitely start with that because it's such a large component of what the film is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, when you see it when I saw it for the first time, I don't want to speak for everyone. When I saw it for the first time, I'm a little slower than most. It's probably because Dad dropped me when I was a child on the concrete, and maybe that's why. But I was like, that was fine. It was a fine creature feature, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty good. But once you get the idea that it's about spectacle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the idea of turning things into an event, turning things into a show of sorts. But the word spectacle, I know that the people on set and the crew and the cast, that word was tossed around a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's even this amazing throwaway line that our dear friend Hoist, the cinematographer, says, which he just says, they were talking about what's the big deal about, these predators and these wild animals. He said, ask Siegfried and Roy, right?
Yeah.
And that also encompasses the entire point, right? Which is you can't tame a predator, right?
Yeah.
You can't take this thing and try to mold it to your will. That's not how it works.
or let me piggyback on that. Or taking an animal and us as humans having the ego to try to, as you just said, bend them to what we want them to be.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's not how life works. And you could even go a little step further and say that Jordan Peele is even talking about he's talking about slavery and the Mandingo fighting and all of that, right? You
Hmm.
can go a step further and say that it's about the race relations um, during the slave days, right? You
Yeah.
can't take these predatory beings and force them to do what you want, right? Or
Yeah.
you can't expect them to listen or to be tamed, right? You can't
Hmm.
tame the untamable. And so that is what a horse, a chimpanzee, a wild tiger, and a UFO all have in common.
Yeah. And what I love, man. So circling back to the first underlying theme, spectacle. I love, especially now seeing this movie. Let's see, saw it twice in theaters since it came out. I've seen it. I think with this rewatch, this has to have been my fifth or sixth time
Really?
watching it.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it, bro. It's so good. But I love that Jordan gives us this answer of spectacle at the very beginning
Mhm.
with that. And I have it pulled up. I didn't just memorize it. Um, from the Book of Nunum, if I'm pronouncing that right. Uh, chapter 3, verse 6. I will cast abominable filth upon you, make you vile, and make you a spectacle. And he's already telling us, like, gear up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to emphasize, like, he essentially, in a way, is satiring the human need for spectacle,
Mhm.
for not being able to take our eyes off of something.
Yeah.
Literally, like, to use the turn of phrase, like, it's like a train wreck. You
Mhm.
can't look away. And how we are so obsessed with that we can't look away. And he's right, honestly. We honestly, we can't ever look away.
Yeah, and how people internalize things as well, internalize trauma. Because I'll tell
Mhm.
you, this my favorite part of the film is Gordy's part. Okay,
Oh, dude, Jesus, the legitimately scariest part of the whole fucking movie.
it is terrifying. It's much scarier than the UFO, in my personal opinion.
No,
And
yeah, 100%.
we can start here because this is what Jordan Peele is taking real life scenarios, things that have happened to people. Okay,
Hmm.
we've seen stories, we've seen pictures. Most of us have anyway, of people who have owned or trained chimpanzees, and the chimpanzee turns on the owner or turns on the trainer and either kills them outright or disfigures them and cripples them for the rest of their life. Okay,
Yeah.
um, and so first off, the entire premise of Gordy's home is again trying to tame the untamable, right?
Hmm.
Um, but when and this is before we see the whole thing, okay? We
Right.
see a small clip of it at the very beginning, um, and it's so scary. Um,
Yeah,
but
when he looks directly into the.
when Jupe is telling them the story, okay, when OJ and Emerald are over at Jupiter's Crossing, right?
Claim.
Thank you, Jupiter's Claim.
Jupiter's claim.
When they're there and talking to him, and OJ's trying to still strike a deal with him about the horses, and Emerald is getting distracted, and discovering all these things about OJ's friend Jupiter. That whatever. When he's telling the story about Gordy's home in that incident, he doesn't tell the story. He tells an SNL skit instead. Okay.
Yeah.
He said, they nailed it. I can't tell you as good as they can. right? And he tells you,
Mm-hmm.
he's so serious. He tells you step by step, beat by beat, this SNL sketch with Chris Kattan, right?
Yeah.
And he's being so serious and so genuine, and he has internalized his trauma by, instead of outright talking about it, which happens again later, okay, with
Mm-hmm.
OJ, Emerald, and Angel at the restaurant. But when Jupe is telling the story, and I keep calling him Jupe, that's really not his name, it's Ricky, but um,
Yeah, but we never hear that. It's
when he's
just
telling
they just call him Jupe.
when he's telling the story, he's deciding to tell you a fictionalized comedic version of the story, and thinking that that's gonna suffice. Like, that's it. Like, if you had been there, you might as well have just seen the sketch and that was it. You were there, right? But once we see
Right.
the flashback, you understand that Choop is dealing with such horrendous trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that he has seen the most horrible things. And he even keeps in touch with one of his co-stars who is, again, disfigured and crippled for the rest of her life. And keeping her close. And again, it's, oh my god. And then the fact that he survived, that's number one. The fact that he
Yeah.
was untouched, is another thing, because he almost feels, and which brings him to his demise, that he has the power to control these things, because Gordy didn't hurt him. Gordy wanted a
Yep.
fist bump, right? Gordy's his friend. Gordy would never hurt him, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has tamed Gordy, which means he can tame Jean Jacket, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, man, before we go on, man, shout out to Stephen Yu, bro.
Yeah.
He's so great, bro. I mean, look, he's great on The Walking Dead, but
Mhm.
I feel like since they killed Glenn off, he's been able to really like flex his acting chops, and he fucking nails it, bro. Especially with what you're talking about with him recounting this SNL skit, and it's just he's so good, man.
I know.
And and Jupe always goes back and forth, like when he's trying to talk business with OJ, but then Emerald is distracting. It's just it's so good. And again, what we were saying at the top of the show of using what we can't see to terrify us.
Yes.
You,
Yes.
we don't see the initial attack with Gord. We don't see the attack really at all,
Mm-mm.
save for just his co-star's legs, and we know Gordy's on top of her.
Yeah. We
But
can
we're
hear, right? So
Mhm.
in that video essay, he called it sonic horror or sonic terror, because the audio is horrendous.
It's awful.
And we get a lot of that in this film. But in the Gordy's Home, I want to wrap up Gordy's Home because we have a
Oh,
lot
you're
to
good.
discuss with the other stuff. But you're right, the way that the scene is shot, where the most horrible things are left ambiguous and off screen, or just out of frame, or right behind something, or right.
I would say the most violent and one of the most horrible things we do see is when Gordy's put down,
Yeah, yeah,
and we
that's as
see it
bad as it.
from we see it from Jupe's perspective,
Mhm.
which is holy Jesus, bro.
But all right. So the sound design of that flashback is, again, the sound design in this film is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's really using every little bit of sound design you can get, and the way it's amazing. So we're going through the corridor in that hallway right before we get to the set, where we see all hell is broken loose, and people have left, and people are hiding in the audience. People are cowering down behind seats, and we see the legs, and we see that horrible shoe that's standing upright, which is not magic. It's a KED, by the way. It can do that.
Oh, okay.
So, but we'll get to Jupe's trauma later, because he has it upright in the glass case, because that memory sticks out to him, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those bad miracles that OJ talks about.
Yeah. One last thing I just want to mention about Gordy's home stuff, and then we can move on. It's mainly just a big shout out to Terry Notary, who did essentially the mocap for Gordy, and he's a big movement coach, essentially. Like he did all the Hobbit movies, like working with the goblins and how the goblins would move. He did stuff with Avengers. I think he also was mocap for Cole Obsidian in Infinity War and Endgame. So
did he not do Planet of the Apes? I think he would have been good at that.
I think he might have.
Just saying, he nailed that.
Yeah, because if you see the behind the scenes footage, they have him fully suited up in Gordy's getup. They gave him even like chimp false teeth to put in, I guess, to really get in the mindset. And yeah, you see him like knuckles down. He's jumping off of stuff like it. So shout out to Terry Notary, bro. He's in my opinion on par with Andy Serkis with mocap, bro.
Well, and to wrap up Gordy's home with the sound design, everything is so heightened, right?
Yeah.
Again, we're going through we're not even to the set yet. We're going through craft services, and you can hear the coffee machine,
Yeah.
Because when you're in a sense of panic and terror, you're going to pay attention to every sound you hear, right? Because you're looking for something to get you, right? You're looking for threats, and you have to hear for threats. And so when you're listening for everything. And so all these sounds are so heightened during the scene that it just makes you so much more tense. And it's that dread, it's that terror. That's not horror necessarily, because the horror is off screen. The horror is him going up to the woman we can't see and pounding her face in, right?
Yeah.
And I guess the only horror is him getting shot and the blood splattering all over Jupe, right?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think we sufficiently wrapped up that.
Gordy's home. Holy shit.
Yeah, holy shit. All right, let's move on to OJ and Emerald.
Sure.
Because again, these are our main characters. And I've been shouting out the other actors, but dude, shout out to Keke Palmer and fucking Daniel Kaluuya, bro. Especially Daniel, man. He fucking kills it, dude. And also, I don't know if you heard this or not. Jordan Peele told Daniel, "I want you to be my De Niro."
And he's found him, right? Because I don't know if he'll do another movie without him. He didn't have him in Us, but I mean, everyone else was great in Us. That's not a big deal, because he also had Lupita Nyong'o. You know what I mean? You can't, that's like his other De Niro. That's his DiCaprio.
Yeah. Which is funny because I just watched a GQ video with Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So like you said at the top of the show, OJ and Emerald have two kind of opposing views on the family business, but they still try to come together to try to keep the business somewhat going, considering this was their dad's. They were raised in this, and they also definitely care about, well, especially OJ they care about the horses.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, and they care. I mean, they both care because we have at the very beginning when Emerald comes in and gives that speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little thing. You think it's a joke, right? Because it is funny that she misses a great, right?
Oh yeah.
Great great grandfather. It's like great. There's another great. She says it like that because later on we see her watching the VHS, and it's the speech her dad gives, right?
Yep.
And so she's just repeating it, but she knows it by heart, right? And so
Yeah.
she does care, right? All she wanted to do was train horses anyway. Guys, I almost said it at the top of the show. My accent gets so bad with the word horse. So you don't know I'm from Texas until I say horse. So I apologize. But anyway, so, all she's wanted to do is train horses. And when she didn't get the chance when they got Scorpion King, that's when she sort of took a step back and was like, well, if you're not going to let me do it, then I'll go do my own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, I love that the Scorpion thing kind of gets a payoff at the end of the movie. He's still got the hoodie.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. But yeah, 100%. She, and that's why during the safety meeting with the commercial that they booked, she pretty much, as she later clarifies to OJ, that's her real job of trying to, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, I'm an actor, director, editor. I do singing, craft services. I can, if you need someone on a stunt for a motorcycle.
Well, what I love is that most of that stuff comes in handy, right? Because she says she's a seamstress, she can ride a motorcycle. And by the way, I really hate in movies when everyone can just magically ride a motorcycle when they need to, can just hop on one and let's go. Like, can you or I do that? No. So it's insane because motorcycles aren't that easy. So I'm glad they mentioned it.
So you're glad that she was able to actually say like, yeah, I can ride a motorcycle.
Because it bothers me. It doesn't like bother me too much, but I do get a little like, come on, whatever. Motorcycles are harder than that. But anyway, yeah, all that stuff ends up paying off because she even like sews like the flags and stuff at the end with the parachute together, right? I mean, it all comes full circle,
And OJ is such an interesting character because he's sort of like an old man. He's got a flip phone. He's a man of few words. He grunts a lot. Very Tom Hardy of him. And there's I think there's an honest trailer for Nope where they say that he treats horses like people and people like horses.
Yeah.
Because he's very commanding with people, but then when he's with the horses, he's very loving and like you would with a friend. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, holy shit, he is. He like the first time he sees the UFO, he's talking to Ghost and he's just chatting with him like you would like an old friend,
Yeah.
Not talking to him like he's an animal, which you know what? I'm fine with. It's not a big deal for me. Like,
yeah,
the dude loves his horses.
He does. He does. Yeah, he is an interesting character because you're right, he is an old soul. Yet he seems to understand things more than people give him credit for, or more than other people do, right? He knows immediately because he works with horses, because he works with predators, right? Because he works with these I don't know, these beings, these animals that command respect, right? He knows very quickly, don't look at the UFO, right?
Right.
If you don't look at it, it'll leave you alone, right? Or it won't notice you.
Yeah, and I love that he figures that out so quickly. That he realizes that it's a predator, that you can't try to defeat it your own way. We have to play we have to play its game.
Mhm.
You know, and it's so fascinating that he was able to pick up on that so quickly.
Well, and we as audience members, we get that at the very beginning during the commercial shoot, right?
Mhm.
Um, you know, people are just, you know, and again, this is like a very blatant indictment of the film industry. People are just so
Yeah.
dumb and sort of just so wrapped up in their own thing and so selfish and whatever that people are like walking around and goes, can not behind the horse please, you know
Yeah.
and it don't do anything with its eyes, don't, no flash photography, none of that, and they're like whatever, and then it ends up not going well.
You know, you know what it reminded me of now that I've finally seen the movie Uncut Gems, of the whole like,
Mhm.
hey, don't lean on the case.
Don't lean on the
You know,
glass.
he keeps telling him like, hey, just hey, like chill, and you know Jordan is building this tension, and we
Yeah.
can feel OJ's tension, and then finally it all comes, and the horse kicks the makeup bag out of the makeup artist's
Yeah.
hands, and you're like holy shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But what sucks is, again, and I want to save it, but like they get fired, you
Yeah.
know, because it's like, well, if you can't control the horse, why are we paying you?
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's like, I'm
and
controlling the horse just fine. You're the ones not listening. Right.
yeah, yeah, because I love that director. Like, all right, can you tell the horse we're ready? It's like what the fuck do you want me to tell it? Like,
So ridiculous.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, but I love the other thing I love about the movie is the relationship between OJ and Emerald.
Mhm.
Um, Kiki Palmer and Daniel have such a good chemistry with one another.
Yeah.
Now, I wanna say something that I'm gonna be 100% honest with. When I heard that Kiki Palmer was in the movie, I was like, really? The girl from a Nickelodeon show? Like,
I didn't know that, by the way. Haley did. So we were watching it, and I go, "That's Kiki Palmer." And she goes, "Oh, I know who that is." I go, "You do?"
what?
No clue. I had no
Um,
idea she was a Nickelodeon.
no, I've heard her like voice acting before, and it's great, but I was just like, I don't know. And she fucking crushed it, bro. She was so awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And Daniel had such a great chemistry. Um like you really believe that they were siblings.
Yeah.
Cuz like it's just their relationship and their dynamic is so good. Um and I love that they unwittingly gain a friend out of Angel.
Yeah. Angel's an interesting character because what I like is we're not spending a lot of time going, you know, no, OJ, you didn't see that. Shut up. No, you're dumb. What you saw,
Mhm.
you were just, you're tired or you misunderstood or whatever. Everyone's like, okay, you saw it?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane. Let's look for it.
Yeah, I love I didn't notice that until actually this time around that everyone just kind of accepts it. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you saw something? All right, well,
Okay, cool. Well, let's try to get a picture of it.
yeah."
Um, I know, and Angel's just funny, man, because he's just lonely. you know?
Yeah. Well, especially because his girlfriend left him for a CW pilot, so,
Yeah, you get it.
fucking CW, man.
And people I
Also,
had never seen before, that actor, Brandon Padilla. Yeah, I'd never seen him in anything before. Looking at his
I
credits.
think this is kind of like a big break for him.
Okay.
You know what's interesting? I don't know if you read this. The scene where we meet Angel for the first time,
Mhm.
that was the first time all the actors were meeting.
Oh, that's fun.
Because apparently Jordan kind of wanted to manufacture some tension
Sure.
because Angel's being very combative, like, well, it's not hard for me. It'll be hard for you.
Yeah.
Now this is kind of a sub thing, and I couldn't find an answer anywhere. I wonder why Jordan Peele wanted to use a Fry's Electronics,
Is that a real place?
considering it was.
Mm.
It has since closed. All the locations have closed their doors. because it was apparently only in California.
I didn't know that.
Um,
I guess that's why I would know what it is.
but I guess they got the okay to open, because this apparently is a real location, and I guess they got the okay to open it back up again, and I'm sure filled it with empty boxes.
That's interesting.
But yeah, because everywhere I read, everyone was like, "Yeah, no, Fry's doesn't exist anymore." I believe the pandemic shut it down.
Interesting.
Um, but yeah, so I just found it. I just want to find the answer why specifically it had to be Fry's Electronics.
Who knows? Maybe because it's
Actually,
quintessential California and it's quintessential LA. Right.
see, I was just thinking that, and I guarantee Best Buy probably didn't want to loan out a location or
Yeah,
something like
maybe.
that.
So,
But anyway,
okay. Jean jacket.
jean jacket, the UAP.
So, what I love about what Jordan Peele has done here is at first, this is a scary Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Okay? And
Yeah.
And I mean, like, so seamless. You don't even notice. He turns it into Jaws, right? And I know we just talked about Jaws. He goes one Spielberg and he goes and he's gonna twist it a little and he's gonna mold it just a little bit, and now it's Jaws.
Yeah, man. It's the reveal that it's actually a being
itself is a living being. It blew my mind. Okay, because I'm expecting, and of course you're supposed to, especially with the prank in the barn with Jupe's kids.
Which before the Gordy stuff, that scared the shit out of me. It's like, oh, I was like, fuck no, dude.
Yeah, it's such a traditional horror film scene that you're like, now this feels like a horror film, right? And he punches that kid straight in the face. You're like, good.
I kind of wish that would have came up again, but it never comes up again. And when you see the kid with like a red mark on his cheek later on, but
I'm glad.
Also, sorry, I wanted to look this up. Jordan Peele said his main inspirations for this movie were the 1933 King Kong,
sure,
Wizard of Oz,
okay,
Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
all right,
Jurassic Park, and Signs.
Really? Not Jaws?
Yeah. Which is interesting that that both of us really are drawing the comparison to Jaws. I think he, maybe it wasn't a full inspiration, but I think he knew less is more.
It might even be an accident, because you're right, because that's what makes Jaws so brilliant, is less is more. And using tension, using terror, using sound design, using paranoia, those things fill you with dread, right? Those things scare you, sort of, in a long standing way, right? Like in a long lasting way. I think so. It might be an accident because you're right. I can see the inspiration for all the other things as well, right? Because Signs, maybe just the alien stuff.
Probably. It was probably, that's probably all it was.
And with subverting your expectation too, because you want to think it's aliens. You want to think it's more than one alien in a little ship, right? Because even in the Gordy's home scene, we're back to that, sorry. Even in the Gordy's home scene, the Panasonic cameras look like Alien has, right?
Yeah. As Jupe's fake.
That's on purpose. Because he's internalizing and externalizing that trauma, right? I don't even think he knows he's doing it, but he's saying, I have this alien thing that I'm using as the show every week. In my mind, the alien looks like this, and that's scary to me. Why is it scary to him? Because the most traumatic experience of his life had these Panasonic cameras that looked like that. And
and that's why he calls them the viewers.
yeah, dude, I know. So okay, Jean Jacket.
Yeah.
I love that they name it after the their former horse that was
It's
one of
supposed
the
to be
tough ones.
emeralds. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay. My favorite thing about Jean Jacket is the sound. So
Mm-hmm.
the first time we hear it, you think it's the wind, right? There are so many. It's just like the Gordy's home scene. There's so many things. There's so many sounds that you're hearing. So OJ's outside. He's got the horse. I don't remember which one. It might be Ghost.
At the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, it's the first time we hear it, right? Or that he sees it outside.
Oh yeah, he's with Ghost.
Okay.
He's with Ghost.
And you're right, because Emerald's there. And you hear it, you think it's the wind, or at least OJ might. Things are kind of in the way, sounds are in the way, much like the couches and chairs and things are in the way in Gordy's home. And then once you hear it again, you're like, oh, was that screaming? Right? And then you're like, it kind of sounds like a roller coaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of is. So what they've done is they had, I think, bird screechings, something else, and then people screaming, right? It's all melded into one sound. And so when Peele was shooting, like the scene where Jupiter's Claim gets sucked up into Jean Jacket, he said, okay, right now I want you to scream like you're on a roller coaster. And then they did, right? It's joyous screaming. It's fun screaming. And then he goes, okay, now scream like you're actually getting digested. And then it's terror screaming. It's horror screaming. And then you put those together and it's so eerie and disturbing, and you can't quite put your finger on it at first, right?
Yeah.
And it happens the entire film with Jean Jacket is you hear them screaming and you're not sure if it's of fun or of horror, right?
Right. Well, and I love that once again, Jordan giving us the answer at the beginning of the movie. We see inside of Jean Jacket during the opening credits.
Yeah.
But we're like, what is this green square? What
Right.
is this?
Well,
why are we going down this shaft?
And I think the cherry on top is the end credits end through that tunnel, which is the digestive tract or the esophagus, I suppose. And it's the horse and jockey clip, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of the clip. It has a name.
Here, while you keep talking, I'll look it up.
Thanks. It's sort of him saying the way that Jean Jacket sucks up everything, right? And takes it away. It's sort of like the film industry sort of burying that away, right? Because we don't know that jockey's name. It's Haywood in this movie, but the reality is we don't know who that is, right?
Yeah. It was just called Plate 626.
Okay. And it really is genius that he is in those opening credits that we're going through the being, which is Jean Jacket, but we don't know that yet. We end with the clip of the horse and jockey, and then we immediately see the commercial set with a horse that looks kind of the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in front of a green square.
It's amazing. He is truly amazing. This guy pays attention to everything, and that's sort of what I love to see in film, right? I love to see deliberate, meticulous filmmaking, right?
Yeah. And to touch on Jean Jacket for
Yeah,
a
of
second,
course. I mean, we're gonna
because
go.
I can feel where we're about to go with this next part. Um, I was not expecting its, I guess, true form.
Yeah, me either.
And they took inspiration from jellyfish, which insane to me.
Yeah.
But it you know what it made me think of when I saw it for the first time? It's almost like, even though this creature is a creature, it is sort of beautiful in its own way.
It is. It's beautifully terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just jellyfish. It was like electric eels. It was like the ghost fish, I think is what it is, that doesn't use fins. These are
Mm-hmm.
like deep sea creatures that they look like aliens anyway. Um, Deep sea creatures are so scary. But yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's flowy, but it's still so scary, right? Because it's unrecognizable, yet it's familiar, and it's doing that pulsating thing with the square.
Yeah.
It's eerie and it's scary. And now it's unpredictable because you didn't know it could do that.
Yep. Yeah, dude, when it did that, I was like, what is it doing? Like, and then we get that wide shot of it really starting to unfurl. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We're totally fucked. But dude, and I love that we get to see how it closes back in on itself when Emerald uses the giant Jupiter's balloon to
Yeah.
trick it. I thought that was cool that we actually got to see how it goes and it closes back in on itself.
Sure.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so at first, so let's go with Otis Sr. Otis Sr.
Keith David.
Keith David. It was such a joy. I love Keith David. Friend of the pod. We've talked about him before.
Absolutely, man. Thank God he's going to get to be, we'll talk about it off mic, but thank God he's coming, well, hopefully coming back for season 7 of Rick and Morty as the president.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I love Keith David. Everything he does he's incredible. But first off, him dying the way he does is completely deliberate because it's killing a black cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost wanted to call the episode Nickel from Heaven. But like pennies from heaven, you get it. But that scene was hard to watch. Because I don't know, it's sort of that I've seen it in films before, but it's really tough for me. It's heartbreaking to have someone be coherent, kind of, right? Yet obviously dying. And having someone try to keep them awake and keep them coherent, that always like gets me, really, really bummed. But
we found it. The thing that finally makes you bummed.
Yeah, it really bumps me out. I don't like it. But when that happened, your mind is racing. You're like, what could have possibly caused the raining down of debris, right?
Yeah, especially because we see the little effects when OJ turns around. We see the little like pops. Of course, we get that answer later on in that fucking amazing shot of Jean Jacket just over the house, letting it all out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember when I first saw the movie and Keith David slumps over. I was like, what the fuck? And then we get the x-ray and we see the nickel in his head. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, and so here's something that I don't know if it was probably intentional, because everything is in this film, but it goes through his eye because he was looking straight up at it. Right? So perfectly on its side, it goes through his eye and into his brain because he was looking up at the sky. Which a lot of the posters show the characters looking up at the sky. Um,
Yeah.
Jupe's being the most interesting because his hat looks like jean jacket when he does that. Um, his tan cowboy hat.
Yeah. Um, dude. So, okay. So I want to transition a little bit because I didn't learn this part of sort of this is the real subtle message underneath the spectacle message, because Jordan's mainly making us realize, like, hey, we shouldn't be so obsessed with spectacle.
Right.
But then there's another meaning underneath that. And I didn't learn this until I watched the behind the scenes footage when I got my 4K,
Mm-hmm.
which is Jordan was taking subtle jabs also at the film industry,
Right.
which of course we've already hinted at. I didn't realize that because when they wrapped the production, which the last thing they shot was Keke Palmer getting the Oprah shot at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan's giving this speech to the crew and telling everyone thank you for all your hard work, and he said, I know it wasn't, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the full thing, but pretty much he said, I know it wasn't easy making a film about the industry we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, was he mocking in a way the film industry? And having subsequent rewatches, you realize, like, oh yeah, he kind of is. And that's really personified in shout out to our Crow episode, Michael Wincott's character, uh, Antlers Hoister
Hoist.
Holster
Right.
Hoist, the quote unquote, he's essentially the DP
Yeah.
of their trying to get the Oprah shot.
He was also
Because
he was in the commercial that they were
yeah,
shooting. Yeah.
he was the DP for the commercial. Yeah. Dude, I remember when it blew your mind that was top dollar.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And it's because like I recognized his voice. He had a very, very small part. And I think it's the pilot of Westworld. He's one of the first robots that Anthony Hopkins has drinks with every once in a while. And I recognize his voice from that. He has such a distinct, recognizable voice. And from Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man, which is also in, where he plays a cowboy also. But yeah, he's top dollar, and that blew my mind. It's the hair. I can't recognize him without the hair.
Well, and I think also he's aged pretty well. Like,
He looks great.
He looks pretty good for his age.
Sounds like
but
Tom
yeah,
Hanks, but other than that, he's great.
Yeah. But the scene that really, I mean, because like, so Antlers is really our most prominent figure of Jordan kind of holding a mirror to Hollywood, being like, do you see how bad you are? Because he's very kind of standoffish during the commercial. When Emerald first calls him for help, he's really like no, why would I help you? Like, honestly, like, what you're asking for is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but only when he starts to kind of understand, like, okay, maybe we could pull this off. But I love that they get the shot, but because he notices the sun is coming out, he's like, I could get an even better shot. And because even though they got the shot, that's not good enough. And it was like Jordan saying, like, hey, DPs out there, you don't have to work so hard.
I have a quote here from Jordan Peele. It said, mankind will risk everything for spectacle. Okay. And that's what Hoist does. He risks everything for that shot, and he loses it all.
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't see Antlers after that. He for sure.
I will say that Haley did watch half of this movie with me, the second half.
And, I was going to ask if she watched it with you.
The second half, yeah. We got back from camping. I turned it on when she got out of the shower. She sat down and watched the rest of it with me. And her only problem with the movie, hey, shut up, please. Sorry, it's my cat. Her only problem with the movie was she was like, where's that footage? And I go, what are you talking about? She's like, the footage that he got when he got sucked up, isn't Jean Jacket gonna like force it back down? I mean, that's what he does,
Yeah.
right? I go, I don't think that's the point. She goes, well, it doesn't. It matters to me. Okay.
Well, and also we get that answer. The film gets cut. Like we literally see the film get ruined as he's getting sucked up, and then his big fucking IMAX camera, which I love that they put the
IMAX.
They specified that's IMAX because the whole movie was filmed in IMAX.
Right.
Yeah. But that gets destroyed when Angel almost gets sucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Which, sidebar, I learned that apparently Brandon, how do you pronounce his last name?
Oh,
who played Angel?
Oh yeah. Hang on, let me look at Padilla.
I learned that apparently he talked to Jordan about maybe not killing Angel off, and Jordan liked that idea, and that's why Angel doesn't die. But honestly, it was some smart thinking on Angel's end to tie himself up with barbed wire.
Whoa, I
know. So Jean Jacket wouldn't eat him. Like, but yeah, and we get other things like you talked about, like when Otis is on the film set and no one is listening to him because they probably see like, oh, he's the animal wrangler. Like it's fine.
Yep.
Like we don't need to listen to him, and then of course, Jupe as a whole, his childhood trauma growing up as we all know, child stars don't tend to come out the most well-adjusted adults, so it's just so interesting that underneath all of this, Jordan Peele is, in a way, or at least maybe you could tell me I'm wrong, to me at least, giving a middle finger to Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, he is. It's an indictment for sure. I think he's juggling a lot, right? And a lot of it is the spectacle element of the film that's tied in with the indictment of Hollywood and how how they've whitewashed westerns, and then how they've buried the identity of that jockey, and how they'll risk anything for the product, right? All of that is melded in there. And it's juggling it quite well. I would say that, again, I like this movie a lot more once you learn all this stuff, right? I think if you're looking at it at face value, I'm not sure if the film holds up. If you don't know, right? If you don't know, the movie's pretty good, okay? But you know all this stuff, and now it's great.
Okay, and I was looking for this. I was looking for this quote that I heard Jordan say when talking about why he also had this underlining message of Hollywood. He said he wrote the script, quote, at a time when we were a little bit worried about the future of cinema. So the first thing I knew is I wanted to create a spectacle. I wanted to create something that the audience would have to come and see.
Yeah.
So he's just tying it all back together.
Which, of course, is the point, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. And even the marketing. I mean, the marketing was similar to making it this over the top otherworldly thing. Otherworldly. Look at me go.
Yeah, I remember the first teaser poster that was released. It was just a cloud with a ribbon coming out of it.
By the way,
and then all
really cool story element, the cloud not moving. I really liked it.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that yet, but that was really cool. And I liked that that's how Angel figured out where it was.
Well, and what's interesting is Antlers figures it out just by standing there staring at it long enough where he's like, yeah, it hasn't moved.
Dude's out of his mind.
Yeah, man. He really is, bro. And he couldn't have gotten anyone better than Michael Wincott, dude.
Yeah.
Because you know, you watch The Crow, and you see him as top dollar, and you see the Three Musketeers, and he's Rochefort, bro. Like, but yeah, man, it's so good, bro. Like, the movie has a little bit of everything, you know. It has Western, it has sci-fi, it has horror, it has comedy, you know. Um, the only thing that it doesn't have, and I was waiting for this, is a definitive ending, because I wanted to ask you at the very end of the movie, do you think OJ's really there, or do
Do
you
I
think he
think
died?
OJ's really?
Because I heard this theory that OJ doesn't make it. He truly sacrificed himself to make sure that Emerald could be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we see him again, he's standing with Lucky underneath the sign that says "Out Yonder."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
which could be indicative that he didn't make it, and that this is just Emerald's guilt, survivor's guilt. You know, making her think she sees him.
Yeah.
I didn't buy into that at first until this rewatch.
Okay.
You can hear Lucky shrieking as Jean Jacket's getting closer to them. And then we cut away. We don't see anything.
I see.
And if you watch it with subtitles, you can it says you can still hear Lucky screaming, and then we cut to Emerald and she's off.
Yeah.
So do you think the ending, so my question is, to bring it all back, do you think the ending is ambiguous, or do you think it's a definitive ending? OJ was really there. The Haywood survived.
Oh, good question. I know that Peele lobbied for them to survive.
Okay.
He said that I think it was either the studio or something, Universal, I think, was like, there's no way they both survive. So that's got to be taken out. You know, and he's like, no. But hold on, let me give you some scenarios, right, where they can make it, right, where everybody can survive, all the three of them.
Yeah.
And that's probably where he said, let's tie him to some barbed wire and let's have Angel live. Okay. It sucks. He's hurt, but he's going to live. So that was important to him, that they survived.
Okay.
That they made it. So I guess I'd like to think they made it. Well, for sure, Emerald made it. But OJ, good question, because it is, there is that haze and that fog to where you can, I guess it's smoke, that you can barely see him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which might indicate that he is gone.
Yeah. I'm honestly, bro, because I love the movie so much, I'm going to choose to believe that they both made it.
Cool.
That somehow OJ figured something out and was able to kind of escape Jean Jacket's clutches with enough time for Emerald to get away. Almost like he knew Jean Jacket would follow. But here's my follow-up question.
Okay.
Because I read this recently. Supposedly, Jordan Peele's open to sequels. Do you think Jean Jacket really died? Interesting.
I'm not sure. And Haley was talking about that too. She goes, so is it dead? I don't know. The movie ends with her, getting that shot, right?
Mm-hmm. And all the powers coming back on, which we've established that when Jean Jacket is around, it sucks all the power away.
Yeah.
But the power's coming back on, so...
Yeah. I don't know. You're right, because that does... that is a good indication that it is dead or far enough away.
Yeah, because it reminded me a lot of, and I'm super excited for this, Mike Flanagan's Midnight Mass.
Yeah.
The ending where the vampire, after I can't think of the character's name, but his wife cuts the wings and it's trying to fly away before the sunset, and the girl who couldn't walk at the beginning suddenly can't feel her legs,
Yeah.
which is a good
Oh,
indication that that the vampire didn't make it.
one of
So
the, I mean, we don't have time
dude,
to talk about how good Mike Flanagan is. Um,
he's a fucking genius. The Fall of the House of Usher, already IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. Let's fucking go.
yeah, I am excited. But yeah, you're right. That's one of the best endings of any sort of miniseries television show I've ever seen. Because it's so subtle and it says so much. And yeah, but in this case, the power coming back on is a good indication. It's sort of the same thing, right? Of it's the same sentiment of I can't feel my legs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say maybe I wouldn't want to see a sequel. I can tell you that.
I think what I read, Jordan saying that he would be open, is he wanted to focus on more jean jackets, like maybe like the species. And then I didn't know this, but the character known as Nobody, the TMZ guy with the helmet, Jordan, a lot of people were like, hey, he's credited as Nobody, and he was like, yeah, I'm glad you're paying attention. We haven't heard that character's story yet. And I was just like, oh, okay.
It is interesting because he is, God, if he wouldn't have talked, he would have been so much cooler. But because his aesthetic is really interesting. If anyone has seen Brian Glazer's Under the Skin, it's very reminiscent of that motorcycle rider in that film, which if you haven't seen it, please do. It's so good. Also, I think it was the same. I don't know if it was the same sound designer as Under the Skin, but I know that they took inspiration from Under the Skin in terms of sound, because they don't want otherworldly sound, right?
Right.
You don't want it to be too sci-fi, right? So what Under the Skin does is it takes familiar sound and change it a little bit, and that's what they do in this film. But yeah, I think that he might just be some dumb bimbo TMZ guy, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be, he could be somebody really interesting. I don't know. I just know the aesthetic was really interesting. The representation was really interesting. The chrome helmet was very interesting.
When this movie came out on 4K, I almost got the Steelbook because it had the chrome helmet on it.
Oh, did it?
But the Walmart version with the horse's eye was...
It was too good. Yeah, that's what
it was too good.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting. If it turns out to be something like the motorcycle rider in Under the Skin, I think that would be really, really interesting. But in terms of him just being a TMZ reporter, I think that's not interesting. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But, well, buddy, are you ready to wrap up?
I am. I think this film is incredible. I think that it has a lot to unpack. I don't think we got all of it.
No, just like with The Shining, we'll definitely have to do a redux.
Yeah, we might need to. Sorry, those are my cats doing something stupid.
I was about to say, like, good God, did someone...
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. They're fine. Anyway, I think they got tangled up in the cords or something. Anyway, so I don't think we scratched all of it. I think we got deeper than the surface, but not much. And
yeah, like I said,
definitely recommend going to YouTube and seeing some of those video essays because those are really compelling and really interesting. And there's people a lot smarter and with a lot more time than I have. That make really incredible video essays and videos. So
and I'll be sure that Future Rain also credits this Screen Rant article called "Nope: Opening Scene and Every Title Card Explained."
Oh.
Yeah.
I will say before we end, this film also contains a fun little sneak peek into a later episode this season, and it has the Akira motorcycle slide.
Oh yeah.
That is, I think, the first live action Akira.
No, I saw a compilation. It's
And there was
been
live
done
action ones?
before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's
But
cartoon ones.
Jordan wanted it in the film,
Of course.
and so
It's iconic.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Those of you who know or care. So I hope you do, because, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So.
Yeah. So, buddy, I've started us off with just a banger of a first episode. Where are we going from here next week?
Good question. Well, I have two options.
Okay.
And I'm not sure which to do. Because, okay. You know what? I think I'll save that one for later, so we're going to do this one. Okay, you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Next week is sort of it's an unconventional one. It might be a movie most of you, Zach, have never even seen or never even heard of. Okay? It is one of my personal favorites. It completely subverts your expectations of what you think it should be, and I love it so much. I've seen it multiple times. It is Jean-Marc Vallier's film Demolition. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Naomi Watts, Chris Cooper. It's really good. I saw it. I may have even seen it in theaters because I loved the director. He directed Wild and Dallas Buyers Club. He also directed the first season of Big Little Lies before he passed away. So unfortunately, we're not getting more Jean-Marc Vallier films, which is a real shame because he was someone to look out for sure.
So I'm really excited for this, just because I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't?
Me too. I think he's one of the best actors working today, and have thought that for over a decade. So,
but I haven't seen this. I almost did. I almost had the opportunity to watch it. I was trying to find something to watch a couple months ago, and I was just going through Apple TV, just Googling using my Siri to try to find specific things, and I came across this movie. I was like, I don't remember this movie, and I watched the trailer and kind of fell in love with this idea, which we'll get into next week. And of course, I love also Chris Cooper and Naomi Watts.
Well,
so I was like, dude.
I mean, just so we can get out of the way, Jake Gyllenhaal and Chris Cooper together. I mean, that's, for us, for people our age, I think that's more fun because that's October Sky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
dude, shout out to October Sky, bro.
Definitely. So I'm sorry, but one more. Jean-Marc Vallier also directed Sharp Objects, the HBO miniseries, which is also very good. So, again, I'm so sad that he died. He passed away 2 years ago.
Really?
And it was a huge loss because I loved pretty much everything he did. So big fan. And dude, I love none of his films more than Demolition. I think it's underrated. The Metascore's not good. The ratings aren't very good, but they're wrong. So that's all that is.
Well, you know what? They as we learned, critics were paid to tank reviews.
That's true.
It's what it is. What it is. So
yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, we hope you enjoyed Nope. Welcome to season 9, and we will see you next week for Demolition.